Some NBA players say goodbye with celebration, standing ovations, and farewell tours. Others leave quietly, with injuries or unnoticed performances. And for some, their last game doesn't even feel like a goodbye, because they didn't know it would be their last. In this video, we're looking back at the emotional and unforgettable last games of NBA legends. Between them, these 10 icons earned 49 championships and appeared in 142 All-Star games. Let's begin. Basketball. Shaquille O'Neal, the silent exit. Shaq, one of the most dominant big men in NBA history, didn't go out with a bang. He went out injured. In his final season with the Boston Celtics, injuries limited him to just 37 regular season games. He averaged only 9 points a game, far from the dominant Diesel we once knew. But Shaq wasn't ready to call it quits. He fought his way into the playoffs, determined to help his team. In the second round against the Miami Heat, he suited up, but only played for 3 minutes before his Achilles gave out. Just like that, his Hall of Fame career ended, and he didn't score a single point in his last game. Basketball. Michael Jordan, the third goodbye. Most players retire once. Michael Jordan. He did it 3 times. First, in 1993 after winning 3 straight titles. Then again in 1998 after The Last Dance with the Bulls. And finally, in 2003, after a 2-season comeback with the Washington Wizards. In that last season, MJ was no longer Air Jordan, but he still averaged 20 points per game, even in his late 30s. His final game came against Allen Iverson and the Philadelphia 76ers. The atmosphere was electric. Celebrities, media, and NBA royalty were all there to witness his goodbye. But the game itself, not the fairy tale ending fans hoped for. Jordan scored 15 points on 6 of 15 shooting, and the Wizards lost 107-87. It wasn't a storybook finish, but the legacy he left behind didn't need one. Basketball. Wilt Chamberlain, a Giants' final battle. Wilt Chamberlain, known for scoring 100 points in a single game, was still a force at age 36. In the 1972-73 season, he averaged 13.2 points, a league-leading 18.6 rebounds, and shot an unbelievable 73% from the field, a record that stood for decades. His final NBA game came in the NBA Finals against the New York Knicks. The Lakers lost the series, but Wilt went out like a warrior, dropping 23 points and 21 rebounds in his last appearance. When we talk about NBA greatness, it's not just about how players dominated the court, it's also about how they said goodbye. In this section, we're taking a closer look at the final games of Larry Bird, Kobe Bryant, and Tim Duncan, 3 very different men with one thing in common. They gave the game everything they had. Basketball. Larry Bird, the warrior with a broken back. By the early 1990s, Larry Bird wasn't just battling opponents, he was battling his own body. At age 35, his chronic back issues were so bad, he had to stretch for 2 hours before every game just to move. Still, he fought through it like the legend he was. In the 1991-92 season, Bird managed to play just 45 games, but still averaged an incredible 20.2 points, 9.6 rebounds, and 6.8 assists, earning his 12th All-Star appearance in 13 years. Bird's final NBA game came during the second round of the playoffs against the Cleveland Cavaliers. He had already missed the first round and the early games of the series. When he finally stepped on the court in Game 7, it was clear he wasn't the same Larry Bird. But the Celtics needed him, and he showed up. In 30 minutes, Bird put up 12 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists, even as he frequently headed to the bench to stretch his aching back. The Celtics lost that game badly, and just like that, one of the greatest careers in basketball history came to an end, not with a roar, but with quiet resilience. Basketball. Kobe Bryant, the Mamba's final strike. Some endings are scripted by destiny. Kobe Bryant's final game felt exactly like that. Throughout the 2015-16 season, Kobe had already announced his retirement with a beautiful poem titled, Dear Basketball. What followed was a farewell tour like no other. Each arena he visited turned into a celebration of his legacy. But the Lakers were struggling. Kobe was a shadow of his prime self, averaging just 16 points per game on poor shooting. The Mamba moments were rare. Until April 13, 2016. On that historic night at the Staples Center, packed with celebrities, teammates, and lifelong fans, Shaq jokingly challenged Kobe to score 50 points in his last game. Kobe laughed. Nobody thought it was possible. Then it happened. After missing his first 5 shots, Kobe found his rhythm. He scored 37 points by the end of the third quarter, impressive on its own. But in the fourth, he turned back the clock. He scored 23 more points, hitting clutch jumper after clutch jumper. The Jazz weren't letting him score, they were fighting for a playoff spot, but Kobe took over like it was 2008 again. He finished with 60 points, the most ever in an NBA player's final game, and led the Lakers to a comeback win. With 4 seconds left, he checked out to a thunderous standing ovation. What else can I say? Mamba out. Those were his final words on the court, the end of a 20-year love story with the game. Basketball. Tim Duncan, the quiet goodbye. Tim Duncan wasn't flashy. He didn't announce his retirement ahead of time. No farewell tour, no emotional speech. But those who followed the game closely? They knew. In 2016, at age 40, Duncan entered the playoffs after the worst statistical season of his career. He was slowing down. His numbers were down. But his leadership was still there. In the second round, the Spurs faced the Oklahoma City Thunder. Duncan hadn't done much in the series, until Game 6. Knowing this might be his last time on the floor, he gave it one last push. 19 points, 5 rebounds, and 1 block, his best game of the series. As the final buzzer approached, Duncan raised his hand in the air as he walked off the court. No dramatic exit. Just a silent signal, one last salute to the game he ruled for nearly 2 decades. A few weeks later, it was official. Timmy was done. And he left just the way he played, humble, consistent, and respected by all. Not every legend leaves on top. Some fade away quietly, some return after already walking away, and others simply stay too long. In this section, we explore how Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, and Hakeem Olajuwon played their final NBA games, each with a story that adds depth to their legacy. Basketball. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the farewell tour king. When you talk about longevity, dominance, and class, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the name that echoes through generations. He played 20 seasons, won 6 championships, and retired as the NBA's all-time leading scorer. In 1988, the Lakers had just won back-to-back titles, and Kareem, who was about to turn 42, announced that the 1988-89 season would be his last. What followed was the most heartfelt, league-wide farewell tour the NBA had ever seen. Every arena he visited paid tribute. The gifts were extravagant, from custom rocking chairs to trophies, paintings, and more. Opposing players and fans alike stood to applaud a man who had changed the game with his skyhook, poise, and professionalism. The Lakers made it all the way to the NBA Finals that season. But the ending wasn't storybook. Magic Johnson got injured, and the Detroit Pistons swept the Lakers to win the championship. In Kareem's final NBA game, he scored just 7 points with 3 rebounds. It wasn't much by stat sheet standards, but no number could summarize the impact of his 20-year career. When he walked off the court for the last time, it wasn't about how many points he had, it was about who he had become to the sport of basketball, a giant in every sense of the word. Basketball. Magic Johnson, a shocking retirement and an emotional comeback. Few NBA moments have shocked the world like Magic Johnson's retirement in 1991. At just 31 years old, still in his prime, Magic stepped away from basketball after announcing he had contracted HIV. The news was devastating, not just for fans, but for the entire sports world. At the time, there were more questions than answers about HIV, and fear and misinformation were everywhere. Despite all of that, Magic remained positive, calm, and full of life. But he wasn't done with basketball just yet. In 1992, Magic played in the NBA All-Star Game and won MVP in one of the most emotional games ever. That same year, he joined the Dream Team at the Barcelona Olympics, becoming part of the greatest basketball team ever assembled. A year later, he considered an NBA comeback, but some players were reluctant to play against someone with HIV, and he stepped back again. But Magic wasn't the type to give up. So in 1996, he made a surprise return to the Lakers, this time as a power forward, heavier and slower, but still full of passion. In his final season, he played just 32 games, but managed to average 14.6 points, 6.9 assists, and 5.7 rebounds. The Lakers made the playoffs but were knocked out in the first round. In his final game, Magic had 8 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists, a balanced, vintage Magic stat line. But this time, he retired on his own terms. "I'm going out the way I want to," he said. "Not like before." And with that, Magic Johnson closed one of the most unique and inspiring careers in sports history. Basketball. Hakeem Olajuwon, the dream ends in a different jersey. For 17 years, Hakeem Olajuwon was the face of the Houston Rockets. A 12-time All-Star, 2-time champion, and one of the greatest centers of all time. He gave Houston everything: silky footwork, elite defense, and the iconic Dream Shake. But like many greats, Hakeem's career didn't end where it began. In 2001, at age 38, he signed with the Toronto Raptors, a move that shocked fans. The Rockets didn't want to pay him the contract he wanted, and the Raptors were offering more. The decision felt wrong from the start. Seeing Hakeem in a Raptors jersey was strange, like watching Jordan in a Wizards uniform or Shaq in green. Hakeem's final season was underwhelming. He averaged just 7 points per game, far from the dominance he once showed. The Raptors, led by Vince Carter, who was injured at the time, made the playoffs but couldn't get past the first round. In Hakeem's last game, he played just 15 minutes, scoring 8 points with 4 rebounds. No drama. No spotlight. Just a quiet end to a brilliant career. But no one remembers Hakeem for his Raptors stint. They remember the man who dominated Patrick Ewing, who outplayed Shaq in the finals, and who delivered 2 championships to Houston when everyone doubted him. Not all endings are glamorous. Some don't have cameras, standing ovations, or farewell tours. But sometimes, the quietest goodbyes carry the most meaning. As we wrap up our journey through the final games of NBA legends, we end with one of the most influential players in the history of basketball, Bill Russell, and reflect on what these last games tell us about legacy, greatness, and time. Basketball. Bill Russell, the ultimate winner's final statement. Long before highlight reels and social media, before the modern NBA had even taken shape, Bill Russell was already a titan of the game. By the time the 1968-69 season came around, Russell was 35 years old, worn down, and managing double duty as both a player and head coach of the Boston Celtics. That Celtics team wasn't considered a serious title contender anymore. They were aging. They had the fourth best record in the East, and no one gave them much of a chance when the playoffs began. But Russell wasn't ready to go quietly. Boston stunned everyone, knocking out the Philadelphia 76ers and then the New York Knicks to reach the NBA Finals once again. Waiting for them were the powerful Los Angeles Lakers, stacked with stars like Jerry West, Elgin Baylor, and now, Wilt Chamberlain, Russell's legendary rival. Everyone thought the Lakers had it locked. They were so confident, they placed thousands of balloons in the rafters of the arena, ready to be released the moment they were crowned champions. But Russell had other plans. In Game 7, Russell didn't have a huge scoring night. In fact, he only had 6 points. But true to his career, it wasn't about stats. It was about impact. He pulled down 21 rebounds, handed out 6 assists, and anchored the defense like only he could. The Celtics won 108-106, and the balloons stayed in the rafters, never released. That win marked Russell's 11th championship in 13 seasons, a record that still feels untouchable. He quietly walked away from the NBA with the most decorated resume the league had ever seen. No press conference. No video tribute. Just one last win. One final lesson. Greatness isn't always loud. Reflecting on final games, more than just stats. As we close out this series, it's important to understand something deeper. These final games, whether filled with cheers like Kobe Bryant's 60-point finale or quiet like Shaquille O'Neal's injury-shortened playoff exit, aren't about numbers. They're about moments. Michael Jordan didn't go out with a win, but the world still watched him one last time. Larry Bird could barely run, but he still fought through pain to be there for his team. Magic Johnson said goodbye twice, once in heartbreak and once with peace. And Bill Russell left as a champion, not needing to say a word. These final games show us that greatness evolves. It doesn't always fade with age. Sometimes, it transforms into wisdom, presence, and poise. That's what makes these legends unforgettable. So whether it's the roar of the crowd, the pain of a quiet exit, or one last flash of brilliance before the lights go out, every NBA legend's last game adds something unique to their story. Which final game hit you the hardest? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more legendary NBA moments, stories, and deep dives. Until next time, this has been the last chapter of NBA greatness.